Caleb, welcome to Radioacktiva, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. Good to be here.
Well, we're so happy of you guys coming to our country once again for Festival Stereo Picnic, having the Kings of Leon, a great pleasure. And of course, with a new album coming, of course, I have to ask you about the title. Can we please have fun? Tell us a bit about that. Is this like a question? Is this, what's going on here? I always think that, album titles are also somehow a statement on what we are about to listen to. So what can you tell us about this?
Oh, can we please have fun? Well, we always have our album titles. They're always 5 syllables, which was like a happy accident that we started early on. And so I'm kind of always jotting down 5-syllable things. And we were about to get together, and I was about to show the guys like some new songs, which is always kind of, a nerve-wracking thing because you hope they're going to like songs, but it's not always the case. And I think it was just kind of a little bit of a frustration. Like, can we please have fun? Like, can we just enjoy this process? Let's not make it dramatic. Let's not overthink it. Let's just go in and do something that we all enjoy. So yeah, that was it. It was, can we please have fun? And then when I was like putting out ideas for the album title, that was the one that Kid Harpoon kind of looked at me and went like, I like that one. And then I think my little brother, I think Jared, did the same thing. So put that one on the back burner. And then, yeah, the label was excited to have something like that to play with visually and stuff.
And since you mentioned Kid Harpoon on this record, well, tell us about working with him. You've worked before, of course, with Angelo Petraglia, if I recall. So I'm guessing this is a different approach from the production point of view. And of course, they have always an effect on the band. Tell us about working with him.
Yeah, working with Tom. His name's Tom. Working with Tom was a joy. He was just super down. He was down for whatever. It wasn't like there wasn't like a lot of ego going into the studio. I mean, there was probably more ego coming from me than anyone, but that's just kind of how it goes. But man, he was awesome. He felt like one of us. He was just he could sense how excited we were to be making this album. And so he just jumped on and was like, all right, I'm going to help these guys make the album that they want to make. And he did it. There was one time I kept referencing this drum thing and I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't think of the name of the band or the song or anything, but I was like, I'm getting this feeling, and like I went and got a cup of coffee or something and I came back and he had done it. And I was listening to it and I was like, that's it. That's the thing. And I still never found what it was that was the reference. He never knew what the reference was, but we had kind of linked up and he could sense what I was wanting. So yeah, it was a lot of good synchronicity moments in the studio between all of us. We were all just like a big team, a big family. And we were sad when the album was finished.
I've read and I've seen some videos about the upcoming record, some interviews you've talked about the upcoming record, and you've always sort of mentioned that this album, it has like a special meaning, like it means something special for you. You feel like you've accomplished something special with this record. And of course, I had to ask you, do you guys, the Kings of Leon, have done some beautiful records, let's say Walls or a Hashtag Heartbreak, which is still one of my top records from the Kings of Leon. But what happens in this record that makes you think this? What's going on in Can We Please Have Fun that has this particular achievement on your already 25-year career since the release of the first record? So, yeah.
I felt like there was a real we put a real bubble around ourselves on this one. There was no outside influence, no outside noise. When we made the album, we didn't have a record label. It was just us and we were just like, okay, we are going to go and make an album that makes us excited. If that means playing really fast and really loud, then we're going to do that. If that means exploring a part of us, you know, that we would be self-conscious to do, or in any way going into something thinking, oh, we need the hit song, or we need the ballad, or we need none of that. We didn't think of any of that. It was just like, okay, we're going for something great, and we're not going to stop until we make something great. And that was, we pushed ourselves to a point where we were just like, not only were we achieving what we were going for, it felt so much easier to accomplish it by not considering anyone or anything else. It's like we actually are capable of doing great things if we don't let anyone get in the way. And that was the feeling. It felt like there was a freedom. Any obstacles that did get in the way, it was like, boom, all right, fine, let's move on to the next thing. There was just like this flow that was happening. It was like no fear. Let's just keep going. And that's what you do when you're a young band. That's what you do when you're cocky and young and you don't care what the label thinks. But, you know, over time, you do start to think about things, even though you say you don't. There's subconsciously you're thinking about, oh, well, what will this person think? Or, oh, it sounds too much like that, or not enough like that, you know? So there was just a real freedom.
But, you know, it's very interesting everything you're saying, because when we listen to this first single, Mustang, there's a mixture, you know, there. I guess you could call it between maybe a bit of southern rock, but also a more experimental stuff, you know. I'm not a musician, but when I listened to the Mustang, the track initially, I thought, okay, these guys are playing with sort of a back and forth kind of thing, you know. I listened to like the roots of what we initially thought would the Kings of Leon be, and then I can also sort of listen to what we understand the Kings of Leon are right now. So that's awesome, you know, to be able to mix that, to balance that. In one track, it's like, wow, okay, it's like experimenting with Southern rock, Kings of Leon style, what's going on here? So that's what I wanted to know about that. You know, I think it's a very peculiar song in a good sense. Like, this is like weird, cool.
Yeah, there are a lot of moments like that on the album where, because it was like this complete isolated creativity that we were living in hindsight, listening to the album, or even when I play the songs, I'm like, oh man, if I had any insecurity, I would have changed that about it. But I chose not to change it because it was real. Because I truly believe that, you know, mistakes are where humanity lives. And having those real raw moments are going to attract people as opposed to turn them off. And there are lyrical moments that will jump out at you, and it's like, oh, it would have been so much easier to just say something that rhymed and kind of blend it in there, and it doesn't take you out of the song. But then before you know it, it's those little moments that keep bringing you back, and it's like, fuck, he did that. He went there, you know, he did that thing, that little, feels like someone sticks their finger in your belly button, that little uncomfortable thing, and it's like, oh, I've got to hear it again. And that is something that I had lost, you know, as a writer. I feel like I had lost that little bit of just selfish, like, I don't care what you think. I'm making art for me, and hopefully it speaks to other people. But yeah, I really, really made sure I didn't compromise, and I didn't allow any outside influence to affect what it was that I was trying to do.
I'm guessing that while creating this bubble, and when it comes to writing the song for the record, it has to be an effect, right? You know, like you're being able to develop the ideas you wanted to. Because if we go to the previous record, When You See Yourself, beautiful record, we have songs like Stormy Weather or Claire and Eddie, great track too. But you know, we know little about the upcoming record, but then trying to understand lyrically what's going on from what we have in the title. Two perspectives very different. When You See Yourself, a very introspective kind of thing, and now Can We Please Have Fun, which, you know, sort of point out to look outside from the interior, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Does it work that way? How does it works?
Let's see. Well, I think we live in a very selfish world. We live in a world that's very, you know, everyone's, you know, it's about me. Like, I want the most, I want the biggest, the brightest. I want to be the most popular, the most liked. You know, that's kind of the world we live in. And you can see it and you can sense it. There's not a lot of human connection. There's a lot of division. And I really felt like it was my responsibility to use the opportunity of making art. And I know it's going to sound a little weird because I just said I didn't want any outside influence, and I didn't allow any outside influence, but I did feel like it was my responsibility to take this music and bring people together with it. So to use our little voice to try to heal something, or to try to, you know, you don't have to agree on who's the better football team. You don't have to agree on politics. You don't have to agree on this or that. But you can look at each other and go like, this is a pretty fucking good song. You know? Like, there's no denying that. I like this song. So that was the thing. It was like, all right, just keep and if we can make music 20 years in that makes us feel that way, like, oh, this is pretty good, well, then hopefully that's going to do that to other people too.
I also wanted to ask you about the question in the lyric of Mustang. Are you a Mustang or a kitty? It kind of reminded me of the Killers. Are we humans or are we dancers? Or How Soon Is Now by the Smiths? Or What's Love Got to Do with It? Or What's Going On? Is there I don't like usually to ask musicians like the reason after a song, or what is this or that about. But I'm particularly curious about this one. I know art is something we are supposed to understand by ourselves from our perspective, but I think it's a very cool question, you know, like those I just mentioned, we sort of remember those questions. So I was like, what are the Kings of Leon aiming on this question? Is there an answer? Do you have a particular rock and roll question in your mind? It's like 3 questions there.
A Mustang or a kitty. I mean, I do feel like sometimes you do a disservice to the listener when you tell them what it means to you, because then it's like, oh shit, I thought it was going to be so much cooler than that. But, you know, I think that there's a question in there of, you know, which side are you? You know, which side? Because for me, when the lyric came about, it's going to sound pretty boring, but my son was wearing a t-shirt that said Mustang on it, and my daughter was watching YouTube videos of little cats, little kittens. And so I kind of looked at them as they're polar opposite. My son had like 2 cars and was like banging them together, and she was delicately watching kittens play on pillows, and it was just like 2 polar opposites. So that became the question, you know, like which side of that are you? Like which side? I feel like we all have kind of like two versions of ourselves. Some of us more, but you know, you've got like that wild side and that more kind of held back side. So I guess that was kind of the question, but I don't know. Maybe it means more to other people. So
well, thank you very much for the time for the interview here for Radioacktiva. I really appreciate it, and looking forward, guys, to see you here at Festival Stereo Picnic.
Yeah, can't wait. Yeah, look forward to it.
That's great, man. Thank you very much, and hope you enjoy the festival and enjoy a bit of the country and etc. if you have the time, of course.
Right on, man.
For all the
Look
time.
forward to
Thank you, Orla. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hey, this is Caleb from Kings of Leon, and you're listening to Radioacktiva, the Rock Planet.